know what she asked me?
What?
Have you seen 50 properties? I said, I've got time to see 50 properties.
Yeah.
And she said, then don't tell me you haven't found the one.
Oh.
Hi, Hazel.
It's Azura.
And I'm Germaine.
And welcome back to another episode of Clarity's Podcast. Today we are dressed like big girls.
Big girls.
Serious business.
Yes,
Yeah.
we
Big
mean
girls,
business.
little bodies.
Yeah. Because we want to talk about a big people issue.
Oh.
Home ownership, girls.
Oh, I thought retirement. Okay.
We haven't gotten there
Yeah,
yet.
it's too far away.
Ownership.
Okay.
Wow.
Any of you planning to become a homeowner anytime soon?
I am a homeowner at the
Azura
moment.
is
Right?
an
Okay.
owner of a home already.
Correct.
Congratulations.
Woo! You
Well
made it.
done.
Made what?
You surpassed
Yeah.
most people of your year
No
and your
lah.
batch.
You checked the box. I think Hazy and I, both of us are not currently homeowners, but we have very different goals. I think Hazy is working towards
Yes.
home ownership.
I'm working so hard towards
is.
owning my own home.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's a tough journey.
She meets her financial advisor like every month to...
No lah.
Oh, okay.
Every half a year. No, seriously though, I think every Singaporean's goal is to own a home. Am I right? But
Actually,
for me, it's just so tough.
Yeah, did you know that Singapore has one of the highest home ownership rates in the
Right.
world?
You know-
and given that we have one of the most expensive property markets as
That's
well,
right.
I think that's very surprising to me.
Does that mean we're all rich?
Are we? How much money?
I think that just means that.
Not much.
I also want to know. I think that just means that Singaporeans work very hard and we save to own our homes. I've heard so many people tell me that BTO is every Singaporean's right. Have you heard of this?
Oh,
It's called the Singaporean dream.
Correct. And they think it's our birthright to own a
Oh.
property.
Okay.
And like, because we have the chance to go for a BTO, we shouldn't be going for anything else. Because BTO is technically the most affordable.
Yes.
And the one that makes most sense.
Financial
Yes.
sense and as an asset as well.
That's right.
It's like it makes sense at the first step.
But for a lot of people out there, like myself,
Yes.
because I'm single and I'm below the age of 35, I cannot go for a BTO. So I can only go for private properties. And this is where the problem comes in because I find that in recent years, property prices are just crazy.
Yeah, we're talking average 1,005 per square feet, correct?
Even higher than that.
Correct.
Like, just some of the condos I've seen, a small like 600 square feet, 700 square feet, it can go up to like 1.5 to 1.8 million. And to
Yep.
think of that, you have to place a 25% down payment.
Yes.
That is easily what, $400,000?
Correct. And 5% cash, 20% CPF. That's if you have enough CPF. If
Right.
someone does not have enough CPF, who has that sort of like cash on hand at, any given point? You know
It's
what I mean?
something that takes a lot of foresight. I think there are two main groups now, right? The ones who want to own homes and the ones who think, I'll just rent a home for the rest of my life.
Right. Actually, that's what I'm doing now. I'm renting a home, but it's of course not for the rest of my life. Like I moved into this new place thinking I'll just shift in for like 2 months and I'll
Yeah.
head back to my parents, right? Never happened. I'm there for like 2 years plus now.
Yeah.
But it's a good feeling. I love the freedom, I love the space, and like the time away from people, just enclosed in my own little cozy area. It just feels
It's
great.
nice, yeah.
But I think
Very
owning a
nice.
home comes with its set of challenges as well. What is suitable for you? What is suitable for your family situation or whatever, relationship situation that you are in?
Right. And the vacuuming kills me, to be really honest.
Hey, you still using
we're
the
back
vacuum?
there again.
Yeah, you still using the vacuum cleaner I bought you?
Yes. Jermaine bought me a vacuum cleaner as a housewarming gift.
Yes.
I'm still using it. It's the most useful thing in my home, you know?
No, you are the most useful thing in your home. That's right.
Thank you.
No, but I think, we grew up, right? In Singapore, we grew up, our parents owned, their parents owned.
Right.
It was a
True.
norm to own.
Yes.
As compared to other countries, other cities, for example, let's say New York City, everybody's renting, right? So we grew up seeing that. And so it's, you already know, okay, I grew up, I buy.
It's the norm.
It's the norm.
It's what's expected.
Yeah, I think it's an Asian kind of mindset because a property is an appreciating asset, right? So
Yes.
only if you buy it, your money is not gone down the drain.
Especially
it's growing.
a BTO because it's affordable housing. Therefore, people see it as an asset, as an investment. But I think there's a lot more to owning a house than thinking of it as an asset.
I agree. Like, this is a space for you to spend the next 5 to 10 years, maybe if you're thinking of selling it in the future,
That's true.
right?
Yeah.
You need this space to be comfortable. It's not just a money-making tool.
So ideally, right? Let's say.
Okay.
What kind of house do you guys envision yourself in?
Oh, my needs are simple.
Yes?
Sure not.
My needs are simple.
Elaborate.
Okay. I've bought a house. I am looking at another.
Okay.
And there's one thing that I look out for. I realized that back then it was the same thing. Now it's the same thing. The most important thing for me is a balcony.
Oh.
Why is it so important?
She likes fresh air.
You found me sleeping outside how many times?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my
I found
gosh.
her sleeping on the balcony quite a number of times. She likes that little nook.
Nookity-doo.
Yeah, a little nook of a
Nookity-doo.
space to herself.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, so
And I
balcony
like
is the
it
most important.
outdoors.
Okay, so balcony is most important, Zura. What about you, Jimmy?
For me, I think it's more of, especially if you own a home, right? It's not like renting. You can do whatever you want to the home. It's smart living for me. Like, I want to go home and the aircon is on before I step into my house.
Okay.
You know what I mean? The coffee machine is on before I wake up. You know, things like that.
But you have to wake up to turn on the coffee machine.
No, no, no. You can set it to turn on.
Schedule it.
Schedule it to turn
Okay.
on. And lighting is very important for me as well because I don't like down lights. I'm sensitive to lights. So on beyond lighting. Yeah, smart living, smart organization.
I can live with you. I will be that smart living. Before you wake up, I turn on first.
Don't trust her, Jimmy. She will not wake up
I
to
don't
turn
know
on the lights
about
for you.
this trade-off. I don't know if this trade-off is acceptable for me. I'll think about it. Send me a proposal. I'll think about it.
Okay, balcony, smart living.
What about you?
For me, it's the interior. Like, I'm okay with like manually getting out of the damn bed and turning on the lights. I'm cool with that. But I need my home's interior to be very cozy and comfortable.
Cozy.
No, it's very much like the set we are in right now. I
Okay.
like creamy colors, pastel sort of like shades.
You deserve cream and pastels. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if I had
Aw.
the sofa, 5 days done.
No, fair.
Fair.
It'll
But she
be valid
really
point.
deserves it, you know?
So aesthetics. Hazy is a soft girl.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I
That's
so
right.
am.
Here's the thing, Hazy.
Okay.
Since you mentioned that, right? When
Yeah.
I was buying my first place, one of the first few things a friend told me was, you know, sometimes when you look at pictures, when you're going through these websites, right, it's very easy to get swayed by what it looks like inside. But when you're buying, you can do whatever you want to it after that.
Correct.
So this person said, don't get distracted by the interior. The exterior is the most important. The surrounding, the location, that's the most important because it could be beautiful. You get distracted, right? There are some places which are like really old and run down, and then you think that, ugly. But like, don't ever get distracted by that because you can change it. The inside can change, the outside cannot change.
Maybe you just have to pump in a bit more money for renovation, but that can be done.
Correct.
But you know what's the toughest part for me when I'm looking at houses? For me, this thing matters a lot to me, feng shui.
Feng shui, as in the direction in which your house is facing.
Correct. And like in certain sectors, when I'm standing in the center of the property,
Yeah.
in certain sectors, it's not supposed to be facing, for example, the toilet, the rubbish chute, there shouldn't be any missing corners, cannot be facing the hospital, for example. You know how hard it is to check all the boxes? And I told my feng shui master, I said, Master, I really cannot find a property like that. You know what she asked me?
What?
Have you seen 50 properties? I said, I've got time to see 50 properties.
Yeah.
And she said, then don't tell me you haven't found the one. I'm like, yo, I got no time for this, man.
So you roughly know, like,
Yeah,
okay,
kinda. So now I tell my property agent, like, before you send me anything, just look through this list of criteria.
Sometimes I
Hasn't
do.
texted me back since.
Oh, she's ghosting you. Sometimes I do think it's luck as well. You
Right.
could have checked all the boxes, but when you move in, you realize that you have a neighbor that is super. So I will tell you a story about, someone that I know. They just moved into a house and their downstairs neighbor is a feng shui master, quite a famous one in Singapore, with 2 noisy parrots that go the whole day. And like the whole block can hear the parrots making noise on the balcony.
But are they getting that, reminiscence of luck from the parrot?
I don't think it works that way.
If they are,
Yeah.
it's a good trade-off,
Yeah,
right?
sometimes it's luck, right? So don't stay near a feng shui master.
No, I have a friend
Yeah.
whose neighbor is so paranoid.
Paranoid.
Like, I don't know, her neighbor always thinks that her family is doing things to her. To the extent that her neighbor installed this CCTV right at the door.
I've seen
just to
those.
spy on her and her family. It's so creepy.
Oh, Azura has a neighbor from hell too. The one that you fight with. verbally.
Verbally.
Oh, okay.
I forgot about it for a second.
Yeah,
oh my
she
goodness.
does, she does.
But not your direct neighbor, not like living next to you, like upstairs.
2 floors up.
Right.
2 floors up. Okay, let me just condense this story really quickly, right? So this fella enjoys pouring water down
Out of the window.
out of the window.
Which I don't think is legal.
It's not. Sometimes it's not even plain water, lah. I've smelled like vinegar before, me.
Eee. Yucks.
Okay.
Gross.
So
Nasty.
once, twice, 3 times, I can close one eye.
Yeah.
A few more times, especially my hand was out. Kena already, right?
Oh.
Ooh. I was like, yo!
Oh, you literally went, oi!
Yes.
Okay.
I stick my head out and I'm like, yo! Okay, never mind. Fella, continue lah. So this is overtime. This is not all in one sitting. Fella still did it. So I stuck my head out again. I was like, I'm gonna come up and you're gonna come out.
Very scary.
Love a girlfriend like that.
Note to producers, I don't want to live with Azura anymore.
No, but I'll protect you.
This is not smart living, Germaine.
This
Don't
is
say
not
yes.
smart living.
No.
Okay. Stay tuned for our next episode, Neighbours from Hell.
That's all. But I'm
Okay.
a lovely neighbor.
Hey, I think you should be like PDN.
come.
PDN says, I would love to live in a kampong like house at a serene countryside surrounded by peace and
Me too,
nature.
me too.
See, suitable for
Me
you,
too,
right?
but we cannot be neighbors. Once I'm next door, you don't get your peace anymore.
Right, because she wants to stay with her chickens, her husband, and her kids. But no, she says because she stays in Singapore and kampongs are no longer a thing, so now she's changed. Like her goal is a cute, nice place, about 1,500 square feet flat, walking distance to public transport, must be near parks, a polyclinic, and also walkable distance to the MRT.
Wow, are these
okay.
things that people think
Very
through?
realistic,
Yeah,
especially
wow.
because she has a child. She needs
Yeah.
to think, hey, if I'm going to be owning a home, where will my child go to school around here?
Right.
Because a lot of it is based on the radius of your home.
Yeah, and I've heard of so many couples who shifted places.
Just for their kid to
just-
go to a good
yes,
school.
Correct.
Yes.
One singer in Singapore,
Yeah.
he used to stay in Bukit Panjang. The next time I caught up with him, I was like, oh, so you still staying in Bukit Panjang? He said, no, I shifted some time back. I'm in Paya Lebar now. I was like, what? They're very far apart. And he said, yeah, because I wanted to send my kid to a school near that area.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, wow, the things you do
No,
for your
it's
kids,
quite
man.
insane, you know,
Yeah.
because I remember I went to this school, right? And then right next to my school, there was a condo. And my cousin had a unit there, but they were not in town. So they rented it out. And I keep right. So I was like, oh, who's renting your place? And they're like, oh, Singaporean actually. And they rented it for like a couple of years just to get the kid into the school.
Wow.
And I was like, oh.
So I've noticed that in my social circle, those with kids, where they stay or where they own a home is very much tied to their kids and what their
Correct.
kids need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what about couples who don't have kids? Like our PDL, she says...
PDL's house is so
Beautiful.
nice.
By the way, she owns this TikTok account, right? Talking
Yeah.
about
Yes.
her home
Home-
renovation process.
interior design.
Beautiful.
Her house looks like this studio. It has this curved ceiling with like the track lights in a curved ceiling, which she specifically got a contractor to cut.
Correct.
Nice.
Just to make it like
Correct.
wow.
So she says, my partner and I are both creatives who are not looking to have children anytime soon. With what we could afford at the moment, which is a 4-room resale flat, we hacked away most of the walls to replicate the style of a bachelor's pad, making full use of the space for our creative lifestyle and having just one cozy master room. But this is not a forever home for us. We're just happy to be able to own a space to grow into ourselves and build our lives independent from our families.
Wow, she sell 100% buy, I tell you.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a very beautiful space.
It's very nice.
For the next buyer who buys this space, can save a lot on the renovation.
That's true. So there are a lot of different sentiments. There's also a group of people that I know who, like KZ, rent a place, right? In the past, everyone used to stay with their parents until they could own a home. But now a lot of the kids want to move out and rent their own places. And after renting for a while, right, then they think to themselves, why do I really want to own a home? I can just rent forever.
Oh, but I don't agree with that. Like, I feel like every month my money is just sort of like going down the drain.
It's depreciating.
Correct. This money that is out is not going to come back.
Yes.
But say I own a home, this money will grow. But I guess this is how all Singaporeans think, which is why BTO is so hot, right?
It's not that we're saying that we buy places to make money out of it.
Correct.
Yeah, but it just feels like, okay, so when I rent, I pay and I don't ever see it again.
Correct.
But when I buy, I pay. Eventually, when I sell, even if I don't make a profit, for example, I get that money back.
Yeah, at least your
Also-
capital back.
When you rent, you are technically at the mercy of your landlord because you don't own the place. So there are a lot of Singaporeans who face situations where
Landlords from hell.
landlord wants to kick them out, wants to raise the rent and this and that, and rental prices have been going up astronomically high as well. So if you own a house, in a sense, you know, yes, you still have to pay your loan back, but you're not at the mercy of the landlord.
I'm just thankful I have a very, very nice landlord.
He is very nice.
He is very, very nice to me, so I'm so grateful for that. But I want to ask you girls a question though. Like, should we own a property in the future? Like, you're looking for a new property, right? And Germaine, next time, if you were to look for one, would you go for a new one or a resale one?
It's very hard to get a new property. When I was in my previous relationship, we had tried for BTO as first time, and and we failed. Thank goodness, it was a blessing in disguise. But I think HDB knew. They were like, this girl, I don't think they're gonna end up married, so let's just fail her application.
God doesn't give you what you want. God
Thank you,
gives you what you
HDB.
need.
What about you, Zura?
You got resale.
I got a resale, yes, that's right. Because I didn't want to wait for a BTO, I eventually ended up buying resale, but a just MOP'd BTO.
So it's still very new.
Okay. What about you, Hazy?
I think brand new properties are just way too expensive. So I'm honestly opening up my possibilities and my options to resale condos as well.
Resale condos.
Yeah. Even if they're a bit older, I don't think I mind. Like older condos are more spacious and I can always pump in a bit more money to renovate it the way I like it. Yeah. Which brings me to my next question. Just now we mentioned like our dream homes, right? A balcony, smart living, aesthetics. Do you think that given our current financial standing, we can afford that dream home that we want?
I think after working, you know, obviously not being a freelancer and having full-time job,
Right.
I do think I have enough CPF to own at least an HDB. But would I choose to own one? You know, and also I'm single, right? I'm not married at the moment, right? I don't see a need for me to actively be seeking out a home, right? And as for condo, I haven't really quite considered.
Right. Not on your list of priorities for now.
Not really, yeah.
But Zura, you mentioned you were looking for another property, right? What about you? Do you think given your current financial standing, it's like no problem for you?
Not to say that it's not a problem, but I just shop a little bit less, I guess.
A little bit only, yeah.
I mean, now that I'm actively seeking it out, it feels like, okay, for this couple of years at least, because I need that liquidity, I'm gonna chill a little bit on the... It's not that I'm not shopping, it's not that I'm not traveling, but when I can cut it down, I cut it down a little bit because I know I need
Right.
this pool of money.
I mean, all of us work hard to enjoy life, right? What is money that is we work so hard to earn,
Correct.
but we don't get to spend it? Yeah, but I feel like for me, it's a bit different because I feel like I still have to work very, very hard to achieve that
You
dream.
work too hard already, Hazy.
But you know, when it comes to finance, I think I can do better in order to own that dream home that I want.
I think it takes time, obviously, right? You can't expect it to happen
Overnight.
Yes, and I think as long as you hit your milestones of working towards that eventual goal of owning a home, I think that's good enough.
Right.
Yeah. I know it seems like you want to rush into it because everyone is doing it.
Correct.
But I think do it at your own time.
Yeah.
Eventually you will get there.
Yeah, that's good advice for me and people listening to this episode of Hush.
Just because someone did it at 28, you know, people always say, "Oh, I was a millionaire at 28, bought
Good
my own
for
house."
you.
Good for you. But not everyone like I've told you guys this story before. Like Bill Gates, all these old billionaires, they really only came into their money in their late 50s. Yeah. So don't stress yourself out on the timeline. But I do think in Singapore we are very lucky that, you know, like I said, one of the highest home ownership rates, like
Right.
89%, if I'm not wrong. In
wow.
in 2022. And the reason for that is because of public housing,
Right.
Because of the accessibility of public housing. But you need to know that we have to be fair to everyone. Yeah. We have to think about, hey, who do we have to take care of in society? Those in single income families, right? We have to take care of all these groups in society when it comes to
Right.
housing.
Interesting how you mentioned that. Have you guys heard of the term social compact?
Social
Compact. Is it a new social media platform?
Oh,
Yes.
no.
Okay.
I've heard of this term quite a few times on the news. It actually means a shared understanding of how all of us in society relate to one another. So like what you mentioned just now, Jimmy, some people buy properties just to sell and to make a profit. But are we thinking for people out there who, for example, single families, people who really need a space but
Urgent
cannot
housing
afford
needs.
Yes, yeah, but cannot afford to get one, for example.
So it's not so much just thinking about yourself and the individual, but more of thinking on a community level, right?
Yeah.
Thinking for the rest of society.
At the end of the day, like everything else, you can't cater to the needs of everyone.
Yeah.
You can't please everybody. There are always going to be groups of people who are not going to be happy, but I think it's been thought out in such a way that they need to prioritize, the more vulnerable in society, for example.
Yeah.
For sure.
Can I just share a quick story? So I actually know someone, at that time, maybe we were about early 20s. And this person so there are 3 of them, siblings in the family, just one parent in the picture. So
Okay.
they've always rented all their lives.
Yeah.
And then that parent passes.
Oh.
And they had to return that home. And the 3 of them were homeless, essentially. And at that age, none of them were married.
How old were they when that happened?
19 to 25, like early 20s, basically.
Still not financially stable.
Not financially stable,
Because
not married.
when you
can't
rent,
buy.
it's not an asset that you have.
Correct.
Yeah.
Then what happened?
They found their way around it. One rented, one
Okay.
lived with someone.
So they had to split up?
They split up.
Oh man.
So I guess what you're saying is, as a parent or if you intend to have kids in the future, perhaps one of the goals you might want to work towards is owning a home. Yeah.
So it's not just always about making profits, right? I think
Yeah.
maybe it would help for us to shift our perspectives a bit.
No, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like-
And it's not easy to build a public housing system that caters to everyone, right? And you know how Singapore is so culturally diverse?
Yes.
We want to also respect that in our neighborhoods. And that doesn't just drop out of the sky. It takes a lot of strategic planning for that to happen.
Have you guys heard of the Forward Singapore exercise?
Tell me.
Forward Singapore.
So basically, this exercise encourages Singaporeans to think about their needs when they are buying their houses. I thought this exercise was a pretty good food for thought,
Yeah.
where it really reminded us to think about what do we really need when we buy a house. Like for now, my ideal home is a 2-bedroom plus study. I think this is a suitable size for me now that I'm single. But in the future, if a partner comes along, 2 of us can still fit nicely into that apartment.
Yeah, I think firstly you need to know what are your priorities. Is your priority, like for example, where your kid goes to school, or is your priority that you're close to an MRT because you have to take it to work, or you want to live close to your parents? That should be your main guiding factor.
Yeah. So let's discuss trade-offs
Yeah.
and what matters most.
Yeah.
Some people prioritize living near their parents. I've heard of people who have broken up because one of them stays in the west, one of them stays in the east, but both wants to be with their parents, and it's just so hard to come to a common consensus.
Dude, this is Singapore. This is not like
Singapore.
this is
No.
not like what you're living in New York and Los Angeles.
Exactly.
Or, it's like, come on, you can make it
sounds-
work.
It sounds absurd, but the many conditions that come with it. What if both parents are sick? Oh. So both of them
Then
want
you
to be
will
with their
get there in
parents.
15 minutes, mate. It's Singapore.
That's still fair. It's not like hours away.
Tough, right? Okay, parents is one priority for sure. Green spaces is a priority to do,
Yes.
right?
I think it's also very important to think about what is your financial capability, right?
Right.
Sometimes when you go shopping, right, and you think, I want to spend this amount of money, and then you see something, just a bit more expensive, and you're like, yeah, it's okay, just a bit above my budget.
Yeah.
But that accumulates, and sometimes you then end up with something that is way out of the budget you set yourself initially.
Correct. And you got to be very careful about this because you may be able to afford it now. But let's say something happens. Will you still be able to pay for it? Like COVID happened 2 years ago. Then how?
Businesses were affected, income was affected, you might get retrenched, like things like that, right? You have to think of something within like a reasonable capability.
Right, and you can use something called the HDB calculator. Have you heard of it?
I always use.
Where can I buy it?
No, you just
the
use it for free. It's on the HDB website.
Hello, smart living.
I thought HDB released their own calculator.
The actual
that you
calculator.
can-
No,
Okay.
it's a calculator on the HDB website that you can use, so you can make more informed decisions. You know what I mean?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
You
Actually.
can like find
Wow.
I
housing.
send you now.
Yeah, send me the link,
She
please.
needs it. She needs it. Yeah, and I think in Singapore, the housing landscape is definitely changing.
Yeah.
HDB flats and people's aspirations are no longer quite the same as before. But thankfully for us Kanchong spiders, the government recently announced at the National Day rally the changes to the housing framework.
Yes.
And I
this
think
was
we
big
need
news.
to talk about this.
This was
Yes.
big news, yeah.
Right.
There's basically a new housing framework, which is the reclassification of different kinds of projects.
Correct. So to sum it up, the reclassification of public housing projects. Number
Yes.
one, we have the standard project.
Standard.
Standard is like what we know from before. Okay, standard.
5 years MOP.
Correct. Existing BTO rules apply. And then we also have the plus. This is for HDB flats at choicer locations. By choicer locations, I mean maybe slightly more central, slightly more prime, the location, but it's going to be a longer MOP, minimum occupancy period of 10 years, but there will also be extra subsidies. So this is the plus. And then we also have the prime location housing model. This is the choicest location, which means projects very close to city centre. I mean, of course, everybody wants to stay in city centre, right? It's so convenient to get to anywhere. I mean, if
Not
convenience is your priority,
Yeah, she wants to
not
be
green
as
spaces.
far from... I thought you moved to Malaysia.
Hey, now can still live on Ubin or not?
Pulau Ubin. Got BTO in Pulau Ubin? No. Okay, guess
Now
not.
cannot
Don't have.
already.
Sorry, too bad.
You can live on a sampan, you want?
I want.
Okay. Oh, but to all single Singaporeans, okay, single and ready to mingle, good news. Previously, they could only buy BTOs in non-mature estates, but now they can buy two-room flexi BTOs in all estates. They can also buy in a prime flat two-room in the resale market.
Oh, so before this, singles at 35 could buy BTOs, but only in non-mature estates.
That's right.
And they could also buy in the open resale market, but that's,
Yeah.
sometimes a little bit more expensive. But now they can buy anywhere.
And they're also open to prime locations. Previously, no prime at all.
Yeah, and you can also buy a standard or plus flat of any size, except the 3 Gen 1 in the resale market. So, yeah, more options for you to explore. But for us, we are so far away from 35 years old. How?
Not very far, actually. Like, how,
In a blink of an eye. We will still be here doing Hush Podcast, I'm
We
sure.
will.
I blinked twice and I'm literally still here.
Yeah, okay.
Will we still be fools?
Fools.
Fools. Remember we said we want to do a podcast episode when one of us got pregnant and like gave birth?
Then we're
Oh
going
my
to keep going
gosh.
for another 10, 20 years.
Oh
mate.
my God.
Who says? No.
Oh, so that's not a food baby?
Yeah. I mean, who knows what will happen, right? You just have to be informed, I think, about your choices, right? Keep up with the news sometimes, guys.
Right.
And if not, listen to Hush Podcast. We give you the news right here.
Yeah, we hope that was concise enough actually.
I learned a lot today.
Okay, one final fun question, okay, before we move on to our
Okay.
final takeaways.
Yes.
Would you girls rather A, buy a plus flat that is very close to MRT but with a 10-year MOP?
Sure.
Okay.
Or B, a more expensive resale flat, the same distance from the MRT with only a 5-year MOP? Or C, the last one, a less expensive standard flat that's maybe 10 minutes walk to the MRT instead of 5?
I have a fear of commitment. I will go with 5 years. 10 years gives me anxiety and I'm about to start sweating.
Okay.
Yes.
So B is Germaine's choice.
Yes.
Zura, what about you?
I just had this conversation yesterday with
Yeah.
a friend. So I said, I really like this area because the windows and the balcony overlooks a forest.
Okay.
But the area is a bit far out.
Okay.
So it's not the location that I want, but I said, I really like this unit.
Okay.
And then she said, but you don't take public. For me, I take public. And I would always think of how accessible is it for me to get to an MRT station.
For her, because she takes the public transport.
Correct.
But you don't.
I don't. Correct. Yes.
So it doesn't matter to you, actually.
Correct. So I wouldn't mind A or C actually.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
my choice would be C. Like a less expensive standard flat, but it's a bit more of a walk to the MRT. Because I'm single and I'm driving, so that will not be an issue for me. But
yeah.
the amount of money that I pay for my flat is of utmost importance at this point.
Okay.
Yeah, so
She also likes to walk. She has walked my house before.
oh no, I really love walking, so I enjoy that extra 5 minutes.
Yeah, she's the kind of friend that's like, oh, very close only can walk. Then it's a 30-minute walk.
Yeah, that's right.
And I'm like, what?
That's me. Oh no, I think this episode was really, really educational. What's one thing you learned, girls?
You have to be honest with yourself about what is within your means, right? Everybody wants the best. Everybody wants to dream big. But if you bite off more than you can chew, you'll be stuck with a lot of loans that you may not be able to repay in the future.
I think, yes, we all want like a forever home, but I think it's important to remember as well that this is what I can afford at this age.
Right.
And maybe later on you do a little bit better, you're more stable, 10 years down the road, you can always re-look at it and replan.
Right.
It's not like an end-all or be-all, you know?
True. So don't look so far ahead. Just look at what you need right now and not you want 10 years from now. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think this episode served as a stark reminder for me that housing policies in Singapore needs to look after all Singaporeans. I mean, it's very easy for us to be selfish and just think of ourselves. Like, hey, I want this property at this age. Why can't I get it? But everybody wants a certain property at a certain age. So how can we accommodate to everybody, especially those who are in need?
Put it this way, Singapore didn't get to this stage by all of us just thinking about ourselves.
Correct.
Yeah.
I agree.
Wow.
Oh, can I run for president? Okay. My symbol.
Sorry, close already.
Oh, okay. My symbol will be shh.
Can you use the hush logo?
Yeah. My campaign tagline will be loud discussions, gentle voices.
Hey!
Yeah.
So I can't be in that campaign?
Okay. Moving on.
Okay, before we wrap up, we would just want to thank the Ministry of Communications and Information, MCI, for supporting this episode. They got in touch with us to tell you more about Forward SG. So we have shared so much with you guys. We hope you took away something from this meaningful episode.
Yes.
I am very informed. Thank you very much.
That's right. I learned about this whole new concept of what a social compact is. It doesn't just apply to housing, right? But obviously today that's what we were telling you about. And it gives you sort of like a new approach on skills. That's one area of social compact, a new definition of success, a new approach for social support, a new way to care for our seniors in our aging population, and a new emphasis on collective responsibility when it comes to housing.
Right. And if what we talked about sparked some interest, you can feel free to find out more at forwardsingapore.gov.sg. And don't forget to keep an eye out for the conclusion of the Forward Singapore exercise in the 4th quarter of 2023. All right, with that, thank you so much for tuning into this episode. You can follow us on Instagram at itsclarity.co.
That's right. You can listen to us on MeListen, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you consume your podcast. We're also on YouTube. Don't forget to turn on your notifications.
That's right, we're wearing our big girl clothes today, a little girl boss moment, so make sure you check it out. And thank you for tuning into this episode of Hush Podcast.
We'll see you next time.
Bye. On the BKE, right, there's an Eco-Link bridge.
Yeah, I know.
You can stay on that bridge.
No.
It's very green.
It's an Animal Crossing. Do you know that?
Yeah, so it's for you. Hey, it's a lot of space. At least 10,000 square foot, bridge.
Can I start building or what?
You can swing from the branches. Yeah.